Rev up your engines!
5-star Mank. Amsoil versus Royal Purple. Which is a better oil? Well, they're both excellent oils, but from my racing friends that race them all the time, they say the Royal Purple is the absolute best. Now, you're paying a ton for that stuff. It's super expensive stuff. It's overkill for a regular car engine, but if you're racing a car, you know, you want the most protection you can possibly get, and my friends that race cars, they all swear, or most of them, by the Royal Purple. They used to like the Mobil 1, but then a few years back, they all switched because they said, oh, our oil pressure's running lower, and the oil temperature gauges, because race cars have oil temperature gauges too, they were running too hot, and a lot of them use the Royal Purple now. They like it. It's expensive oil, and you know, you don't necessarily need that much protection, but for race car guys, they swear by it. Shinomori says, Scotty, I got an 88 Honda Civic wagon with 300,000 miles. I know a little about working on cars, but I want to learn more. How hard would it be to swap my engine with a lesser mileage one? Expectation. Okay, watch my video, how to replace an engine in your car. That was me putting a used engine from Japan in my son's Toyota Celica. He's still driving that thing. It runs like a clock. And that was over 10 years ago. In Japan, they don't drive cars that much. And they've got some kinds of laws that once a car gets to a certain age, it has a progressive tax. So, like, you got a 10-year-old car, you pay more tax than you would paying the lease on a brand new car, so they get rid of them. Then they pull out the engines and trannies, ship them to the United States and sell them. If you can find a Japanese engine for that, it could have maybe 30, 40,000 miles on it. Do it. Watch my video. It's totally doable. You can do it yourself. And if you don't want to rent an engine hoist, one of those cherry pickers, the one I got, I paid $110 for, brand new, on sale from Harbor Freight Tools. And yes, it was made in China, but it's an A-frame with hydraulic jack built into it. Simple technology, and the Chinese are very good at building steel products for stuff like that. Josiah Vanderham says, Scotty, what do you think of Dodge Caravans made after 2014? Thanks. I don't think much about it. The Dodge Caravans, even the click and clack guys years ago, they said, you know why the Dodge Caravans can hold 8 people? So one guy can drive and 7 can push it when it breaks down. They had the worst automatic transmissions. They had nothing but problems. And Fiat owns the company now. Italian-owned American company. That's nothing but bad news. They put a lot of Italian technology into them. Believe me, the things are breaking down. They're lasting even longer than what the original American designs did. Don't buy one. You want a good van? Get a Sienna van. Don't waste your money on a Dodge van. Killer Boy 903673. Should I buy a Ford Ranger or a Saab 93 Turbo X? Get the Ranger. Those turbos are endless money pits. Saab's a bankrupt company, and those Ford Rangers can last forever if you take care of them. But they're completely different vehicles. I mean, what are you looking for? You know, a Ford Ranger is a good little pickup truck, and a Saab 93 Turbo X is basically a racy little sports car. You're talking about apples and oranges there. But I would never buy the Saab. I mean, they're endless money pits. They're hellacious things to work on. Their engines are in backwards, and you got to pull the engine out to do minor work on a transmission. They're hellacious things to work on. I mean, you really can't compare the two. Ramblin' Ram says, Scotty, what do you think of the first generation Sequoia versus the first generation Armada? Okay, the Sequoia I would like better, but the first generation Armada is better than the ones they're making now, because that was before Renault took over Nissan. So it was just Nissan, the Japanese, designing and building them. They were better built. They really were. And if you go back even further into the past to when Nissan was called Datsun, they made indestructible cars back then. They made little B210s that had no horsepower, but they could run forever. And they made the first real good, popular Japanese sports car, the 240Zs. They were the first real popular Japanese sports cars. Now Nissan doesn't make such great vehicles, but they did back then. Jack Bing says, I have a failing window. Is my only option to buy a new one? Depends on your vehicle. Popular ones, there's a very big aftermarket for, which less popular ones there aren't, like Jaguars. There isn't that much. But if you got, say, a Toyota or a Ford, there are places in China that make the window and the window regulator, the whole assembly, everything except the glass that you reuse, for less than $100. And that's what I generally do with my customers, because I say, look, if I go to the dealer and I buy those parts, it might be $450. But if I can get the whole thing with a 3-year guarantee for less than $100, that's what I'm going to do. So check with your car. Now, some cars, they're not available if they're oddballs. But that's the one advantage that I always tell people. If you buy a car that everybody else is driving, like a Toyota Corolla, Honda Civic, Ford F-150, there's a tremendous aftermarket, so you can get a lot of parts at a very reasonable price that are going to work for quite some time. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.